Hey everyone, it's NerdPhil, and today we'll be reviewing Jason Momoa's sexy grunts, Aquaman, and how it does against Wonder Woman. Now, unless you've been living under the rock or under the sea, you know that Aquaman has been doing really well in the box office. And if you haven't seen Justice League War, don't worry about it. You don't need to see it to go see Aquaman. But spoilers ahead for both Aquaman and Wonder Woman. Now, if you have seen Justice League War, it's a nice precursor to Aquaman, because we get a very specific scene in Justice League War that leads up to developing his character in Aquaman.
I know we went to war with the Amazons, but that was before my time. Hey, you know what? I don't want to die. I'm young. There's shit that I want to do. I just feel like I never really embraced the sea or the land. I've been a loner my whole life, but being part of something bigger like this, maybe I'm scared because I'm meant to.
Now, we get to see Aquaman resolve the problems within himself and the traditions of Atlantis, which take form in his younger brother, Ocean Master. Now, although this is a great movie, especially the graphics, there's still a couple things that make it fall shy from Wonder Woman. Number one, the plot twist and the villain. Now, I know these are two separate points, but I combined them for the sake of Wonder Woman, because Wonder Woman combines these two into one powerful thing. Now, if you watch Wonder Woman, you know that General Ludendorff is heavily implied to be Ares, right? He's this big dude who just really wants war all the time, and Ares is the god of war, so it's pretty obvious. Except if you're an avid moviegoer, you find out pretty quickly that it's probably not him. He's just a Nazi who really strongly believes in the Nazi belief system. Now, the plot twist comes when the true villain is revealed. Professor Lupin, Ares, yeah. Now, the plot twist is huge because Ares is basically the minister dude who's been helping the team end the war. And holy cow, he is super strong. You had no idea what his powers were. And when he reveals them, it makes sense. Like, you don't question it. He's the god of war. What makes him strong wasn't his abilities. It was how he was manipulating everything from the background. Now, you compare that to Ocean Master, and, well, Ocean Master is one-dimensional. He doesn't have a whole lot going for him, right? He's just this guy who really believes in his old traditions, and he's just trying to destroy the surface world because he's had enough. And everything he does is pretty predictable, right? He kills one of the kings, he slowly starts taking over, and he's been somewhat manipulating behind the scenes to make this war happen. He's just a one-dimensional character. He doesn't have a whole lot going for him, and he's not really involved in this huge plot twist. So I gotta give it to Wonder Woman on this one. Number two, the side characters. Now, the side characters in Wonder Woman are significantly stronger than the side characters in Aquaman. Let's review Aquaman's side characters first. We got Mera, Atlanta, and Volko. Now, Mera is a really strong side character because she's taking the journey with the main character, Arthur. We see them both grow together, and Mera grows a little bit differently because she's just learning about the surface world and the interactions with people and how it's not so evil. And we get to see her change because of that. Now, Atlanta is really just there for the beginning and the end of the story. Now, the beginning scene is really cool because that's the first fight scene and she just, kills people like it's nobody's business. And it makes sense, right? She's royalty. She gets all the training. But when she has to go back and she disappears for their entire movie and she's quote-unquote dead, she kind of loses all meaning and factor because, well, she made that promise in the beginning to say, I'll be back. And whenever a good character makes a promise these days, they usually end up surviving even if they're quote-unquote dead. So really, she loses all mystery factor because the fact that she was alive is really obvious and, we don't get to really see her do too much. And finally, we got Volko, who takes the role of the mentor, but he kind of loses that pretty quickly because we see him training Arthur as he gets older and older. But he loses his importance when Aquaman and Mera go on their own adventure. He stays behind to try to stop the war, but it doesn't really seem like he's stopping the war that well, and he maybe tries too hard to put on a facade, just loses his importance basically when the whole main story happens. Now, Wonder Woman has 4 side characters, and all of them have their own unique backstory. You've got the main side character, Steve Trevor, you've got Charlie, Samir, and Chief. Now, all 4 of them are unique because they clearly lay out each character's backstory and origins, 1, pretty quickly, and 2, they're tragic. You feel for them. So you've got Charlie, the man who's scarred by war, who also tries to act big and tough, and he's also the comedic character, so he's got a lot of dimensions going for him. Then you've got Samir, who is just trying to be an actor, but believes that society is really hindering his own progress. And then you've got Chief, the man who's just trying to keep his traditions while he's not really being able to keep up with it, given that the modern time is taking over. And finally, you've got Steve Trevor, the man who's willing to do anything for the sake of protecting his own country and really for the sake of good. Now, what's important to recognize about all of these side characters is that all of them seem selfish, except Steve Trevor. He doesn't count. He's the selfless side character. But the other three seem extremely selfish, right? Like they're doing this for money or to really take care of themselves.
We need the supplies and passage to Belgium.
What's the going rate?
Better be a good pay.
But as they keep traveling with Steve Trevor and Wonder Woman, they push aside their own selfish needs and realize that good has to prevail and evil can't win. And in this case, Steve actually dies for the cause. No, not Steve! Number 3, the ending of Wonder Woman was more impactful than Aquaman's. Now, this is just a personal preference, so don't take offense to this. But I personally believe that happily ever after ending movies are just so overdone and just so cliche. I personally think that a movie that has a hint of the bad guy winning is more clever and just more emotional. Now, in this case, Wonder Woman's team does win, right? World War II is over, the Nazis are done, Ares has been defeated, all that good stuff, right? But we lost Steve in the process, right? We lost Wonder Woman's really first interaction with a human outside of the Amazon society, and really her first love. Future warning, if your name is Steve, just don't go inside a plane, please. Just don't do it. It's a bad idea. Now, Aquaman's ending is more peaceful, and there's not a whole lot of defeat. In fact, there's actually no defeat when I think about it. You've got Aquaman who's become king, the mother is alive, even Ocean Master gets somewhat of a happy ending, and he's supposed to be the bad guy. Like, he finds out his mother's alive, and his mother says, you know, I forgive you, I understand why you went through this, and Ocean Master, you know, he accepts his fate, that he's supposed to go to prison. Like, there's no hint of defeat whatsoever. It's just a complete happy ending. Now, we've got Black Manta who's alive, which really the whole movie could have been a lot better if they just forgoed Black Manta and focused more on the family feud. I personally think it would have been better if they talked more or showed more about the father and the feud that went down with him in Atlanta. But I guess the whole defeat thing is that Black Mantis is still alive. Not as strong as losing an important side character in general. So I'm going to conclude with this. Aquaman is still a really good movie. I'd give it 8 out of 10 stars. The graphics were amazing, and they really developed the character of Arthur and even Mera really well. But in my opinion, I think the movie that breaks the traditional story/plot archetype is the better movie. It's less predictable, more of a mystery no matter what type of genre it is, and it's just more fun to watch all around. The difference between a good and a great movie is how much can you bend the traditional plot story, but you can still have good character development, a good plot line, and a conclusion that is extremely impactful. And I think Wonder Woman covers all of those. I think Aquaman just follows the traditional story plot. There's nothing wrong with that, but it just makes it less interesting of a movie. So let me know what your thoughts are. Is Aquaman the better movie? Is Wonder Woman the better movie? Am I wrong? Comment them down below. Subscribe, like, comment, you know the whole pizzazz. Go do it. I'm also thinking about reviewing Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I'm currently playing the Kingdom Hearts 3 game. It's so freaking good, guys. Seriously. Play the Kingdom Hearts games. Number 3 is just, I can't wait to beat it and tell you what my thoughts are. I'm also going to review a couple board games that you should buy if you're new to the whole board game scene, or if you got a couple friends who are looking to get interested but you don't want to overwhelm them too much. So I'll see you next time for your NerdPhil.